been talking about weather and clouds and different things like that you see up in the sky. And today the weather is sunny and it's breezy and it's like perfect outside. But I'm going to read you a book about different kind of weather, probably weather that we won't have here. And it's called Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Usually we hear cloudy with a chance of rain, but We were all sitting around the big kitchen table, and it was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mommy was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we can eat. And Grandpa was doing the flipping the pancakes. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed toward the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry. After we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. Grandpa flipped it a little far, huh? That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall-tale bedtime story he'd ever told. This was the story that Grandpa told. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts, and 1 smaller ocean, there lay the tiny town of Chew and Swallow. That sounds like something that would have food, huh? Because that's what we do with our food, chew and swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees and gardens around them, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. So imagine if you went outside and your lunch fell down from the sky. That would be a little silly, huh? Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain, and it never snowed snow, and it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice, and it snowed mashed potatoes and green peas, and sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. What? That is silly. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. Usually we hear a prediction of the next day's weather. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way, they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. And if there were leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in their refrigerators in case they got hungry between meals. I guess this would be fun if it's food that you like, but what if it's food that you don't like? The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, the breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny side-up eggs moved in, followed by pieces of toast. Butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters, which are hot dogs, already in their rolls, blew in from the northwest about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual clearing. with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow, that was the trash people, had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. So they had to clean up all the leftover food. Life for the townspeople was delicious. This is what I told you about, until the weather took a turn for the worse. One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day there was only broccoli, overcooked. Now, we like broccoli, right? Some of you might, but that's not the only thing you would eat. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Another day there was a pea soup fog. No one can see where they were going, and they can barely find the rest of the meal. They got stuck in the fog. See, bad, huh? Food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were getting scared. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards, and the birds picked it up a bit, but it just stayed there and got stale. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. Can you imagine if you went to school and our whole school was covered with a pancake? No one could get it off because of its weight, so they had to close the school. Lunch one day brought 15-inch drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomachache. There was an awful salt and pepper wind that caused a tomato tornado. Oh my gracious. The trash department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives, and they couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been badly damaged by giant meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the children. So a decision was made to leave the town of Chew and Swallow. It was a matter of survival. So they decided that all this food falling was not safe anymore. Nope, not safe anymore. The people glued together the giant pieces of stale bread, sandwich style with peanut butter, took an absolute necessities with them, and set sail on the rafts for a new land. So all the people that live at Chew and Swallow are moving. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town which welcomed them. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying food at the market, because now they moved to a new town where the food doesn't fall from the sky. So now they have to go to the store and buy their food, just like we do, right? The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside our window in our new house. And we ran downstairs for breakfast and ate it a little faster than usual so we can go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sledding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. So even though they're in their new town, they still see food outside. Now I think it's their imagination. What do you think?